Hey guys, how's it going? It is Kyra here with another Awaken KSR video. And in today's video, I want to try to, as quickly as possible, go over arena defenses, how I try to beat them, talk about the heroes that are a problem here in arena defense, and also kind of give my opinions on what they can do to improve this going forward. Let's get into it. So the first thing is, let's just talk about the kind of the big annoying characters that we're going to be facing for the most part here. And that is Brand, Hakrin, Blackhorn, Celestial Kane, mainly Dark Araka. That's one of the big ones that's very tough to deal with. Luckily, he's so rare, so you don't see him too often. But when you do, very frustrating. And then there's other things there, but those are the main ones. Those are the main problems on arena defense that make it tough. In my opinion of arena, is the way I look at it right now, there's just not good enough rewards to really commit to fully maxing my heroes for arena. So everything's always kind of focus on other things. I'm caring way more about doing dungeons or farming Void Tower or figuring out maybe Gemini Dragon or something like that. So like those things are going to be the top priorities. And then eventually I'll do arena. But at the moment, the rewards just don't justify focusing all these resources into making a good arena offense team. Also, another thing, how arena works is it's very tailored towards the defense side still because of the lightning and how that works. You have 6 rounds. Yes, they did do a buff where you get 15% stacking attack that persists through death. So even if you build a team and revive the character and stuff like that, but that takes like 13 rounds to like, potentially work. So you're finally scaled up enough to be able to kill them. So I like to look at arena where I'm going to try to beat them straight up. Let's see. I'll give it a couple rounds. We'll see what happens. And if I can't beat them, sure, it's fine. I'll just move on to the next person. But if I can, I'm going to be beating them in, the first 4, maybe 6 rounds. Like that's the goal, to beat this. And so we're going to talk about, I just want to kind of give you guys my philosophy on arena first before I get into it, because this is not me trying to talk about like, oh, here's the exact way how to beat all these tanky teams. Like for, interest of full disclosure, at least on my shard, some of these here, where's the rank here? So like there's certain ones I couldn't beat. Like I couldn't beat Xenofex. This is a really tough team. His gear's really good, and also Joker here. So I couldn't beat either of these people. They're both level 80 and level 74. And I do have a lot of gear farming, so it could just be a gear thing. Maybe I don't deserve to beat them, even if the arena system was as good as I think I speak for the majority here where people don't like the arena system. So maybe it's just a matter of he has better gear and I should lose. I don't know. But I played a lot of, Raid Shadow Legends, stuff like this. I think there is a lot of problems with the arena. I think we'll talk about the stats, like what I think they can do better at the end of the video. But I want to talk about, just as the game state is now, what I'm doing to combat it. So let's go to the index and talk about the big hitters here. So the first one, Brand, reason why he's so good is this passive here. So when an ally is attacked, there's a 100% chance to counterattack. The counterattack deals 50% damage with the 80% chance to apply attack down. So that attack down is really frustrating, especially when you're trying to kill these teams over the course of a few rounds. You have one AoE and then boom, your dude's attack down. So next time you go, you're going to do significantly less damage. He has the big defense up 2 here, and he has a passive where he grants a shield every round. So all these people, especially in the higher end arena, are all going to be ascended. So 10% of this character's max health. So that's really frustrating to deal with alone, let alone, oh, I should say too, on his auto attack taunt right here. That's big. With a 50% chance, yes, but still big. Being able to taunt someone, hard to deal with. Then we have Hakrin, who main part of him, 20% chance to, or 20% team-wide bonus defense based on his defense. So everyone's way tankier than normal. Most of these people are going to have around 4,000 defense, especially, the better geared they are. That's probably like the good gear point to be for most people at this point. And then you're constantly scaling up in the max health here with his ultimate, over the course, especially if it's going to be a long match. This is actually going to play a factor, and you can get a couple of these off. So that's going to make Brand's, passive shields tankier. It's going to make, everyone just innately tankier. And then he actually has a taunt here that hits pretty hard because this scales off his defense. And then his auto attack can reduce the cooldown on his ult. So it comes up way faster than a 4-turn cooldown you would think would allow. And then we have Blackhorn here it removes negative effects. That's really a frustrating thing. Like you're trying to do, defense down, whatever, at the end of the turn, you're trying to stun, you're trying to CC these people. It's going to cleanse off. That's another thing I forgot to mention about Brand. His ultimate cleanses, and a lot of people make their Brand like their fastest. So then if you don't CC right, or you don't line it up right, he's going to be an issue. If you don't target him then he's always going to be applying that attack down. That's the only way to really combat this is to hit him, and then the attack down is going to come through with this passive here. So just keep that in mind that you got the remove one negative effect off of this like really good ultimate here on the boost for everyone too. And then back to Blackhorn, also big heal here and a heal over time. And then an attack down, plus every time he does an ability, he either heals himself for 8 or 15% of his max health. Very good healer. Methasia is another problem too. I feel like Blackhorns are harder for me to deal with, in my opinion. But Methasias are still really rough because they have this here where this synergizes well with Brand. This 10% of max health if the target has a positive effect. So every time they go, they just do a move and then boom, they heal themselves. Then has the ultimate where she can heal, she can revive. She's the only reviver in the game, and then has the healing that scales with max health here. And then this is actually kind of nice too, where it's the shield. Every time you attack just with your basic, then grants a shield for 2 turns to the ally with the lowest health. So she has that going for her as well. Then Dark or Raka. This guy is probably one of the biggest problems is, or I should say, Corrupt Raka, because this right here at the start of the round, so you no one could go, doesn't matter your speed, it deals true damage equal to 5% of the character's max health to all enemies. You can you put him in a rebel set. A lot of these characters people just put in rebel sets, like Brand is another one because he's counterattacking all the time. You put him in a rebel set, 20% chance to stun. Then this guy deals true damage, 20% chance to stun individually on each character. So maybe you can wake up on the round, 2 people, you start the game, 2 people stunned. And most of the time on offense, you're on a clock because of the lightning. Anyway, so that little bit of disruption goes a long way in making it very difficult to win. So originally, the main person I was using to combat that was using my own Brand to remove one negative effect from all team members. But if he got stunned, then that was a problem. But you can fix that with Mary, because her passive removes a negative effect from all team members at the start of the turn. So you can make her go first and then just remove it if that got hit. But I think there needs to be like an immunity set in this game to be able to combat something like that, because you shouldn't have to take one character and have to like be, it's just a problem in my opinion. I think that's a little too powerful without the gearing choices to make. Because if I could put Brandon immunity set, for example, that would go a long way in making that matchup significantly easier. And then there's other things that I'd want them to change too, but that's just one of them. So then now how do we combat this? So here's like the kind of concepts that I take from my team, because everyone's heroes are going to be different. Everyone's gear is going to be different. But mainly it's heroes. And there's like 3 different types of roles I'm trying to fill. So the first one is going to be my buffer. And there's really only 2 options here. It's going to be Brand and Windrex. And Windrex is probably overall the better one, but then the harder the teams, usually the slower they are. So you can kind of get away with not needing the speed boost here. But the reason why you take her speed up 50% or plus 50 speed and 30% attack. And then that's the main thing. She goes first, gives everyone plus 50 speed, then everyone ideally goes before the enemy. Or at least your initiator, because that's the next role here is going to be some CC character. And I just want to touch on Brand because he's in the same role as Windrex, where it's removes negative effects, the bigger version of defense up and the bigger version of attack up. So if you really need that extra boost and you don't care about the speed, he's just a better call. And you might want the cleanse. And then you're just a little bit more survivable and a little bit more... and especially if you're taking Nathalia as your nuker, then you get the extra buffs here with the shield. So just keep that in mind too, depending on which characters you're using. So then we have let's talk about the initiators. So the initiators are Lunar Melissa, I think, is the best, and initiator / CCer, so a crowd controller. And you want them to be fast with high focus. I think she's the best because you have a 100% chance to apply taunt on all enemies for 1 turn. With a 20, if you ever booked, 40% chance to apply taunt for 2 turns. So this is fantastic in being able to CC the enemies. So I just want her to be fast with high focus, but you could put her in a rebel set too to also get a stun. But I think that's kind of pointless. I would save the rebel sets for different versions of these type of CCers, in my opinion. And that kind of leads me to the one that I would kind of take that to, but that would be Tia. Tia is one that I would put in a rebel set. But she's very similar in the sense that she's just going to go first, do her ult. She has a 50% chance to apply Frozen for 1 turn. And she also applies this passive here where it's going to be reducing the speed at 5 stacks. 10% of speed, and at 5 stacks applies Frozen. And so then you Frozen, target unable to act, and it takes 50% more damage for all its horses. Attacks on the target at 50% chance to remove this effect. Definitely not as ideal as Lunar. I want the 100%, this is going to CC for sure, but this is a option if you don't have that. So those are a couple examples of some initiators that I would use to kind of disrupt the enemy. Another one is Virgil, just as the last one here. And what he does is, what I like about him too is he's fast. So you get the 8 tier speed and deals 100% damage to all enemies, applies silence for 2 turns, and grants 2 rage. And he has this cool passive here, this arcane sanction. What this does, this character takes damage equal to 10% of max health and suffers silence for 1 turn upon casting any ability with a cooldown. Kind of a nice little disruptor here, because then he also has the silence here as well, and he can remove positive effects. So he's a good option. I don't have him leveled up, but I think he's great. So I like him a little bit more than I like Tia, in the sense that he also has that 100%, like he just fully silences, and they can only use basics. So that means they can it's essentially like a taunt, but they can attack anyone. So that's why I like, and also Lunar, her typing is just better, because you can just apply it and not worry about weak hits or deflections or whatever nearly as much. And then lastly, for this team comp is going to be a damage dealer, and you can take in 2 damage dealers, you can take in 2 supports, however you want to do it. But that's specifics that's probably going to go outside the scope of this video. But mainly, there's really not that many AoE damage dealers in this game. Now that I think about it, there's really the only options are, we have Natalia. She takes a little bit more setup because you need the buffs, but she is one of the hardest, if not the hardest hitting character here, because of this passive, especially if you ever A2, where for every positive effect this character has, their abilities affect 1 extra enemy and increases damage by 10%. If they have more than 4 positive effects, it affects all enemies, increases damage to 40%. 4 is the magic number here to get that 40% damage boost, which is insane, especially on a 200% damage modifier. And based on the meta, the Mathasias are going to be the only thing that really give you a problem, but you're going to hit even on Hackrons and Blackhorns, and you're going to hit positive on Brands. So this is a good character, and she has immune. So she's not going to get the attack down as well. So you can put Cursed Set on her. You can't do the average set, unfortunately, with her for the 50%, even though she's hitting an AoE. Technically, she's hitting single target, and then the passive is spreading it to multiple people. So that's why it's not considered an AoE move. So Cursed Set's probably the best because she has this basic here where she's getting a random setup, so she can keep feeding into her own passive here, with her random thing. And then also it just hits really hard too, especially if you like take in like a William or something like that with her. Then another one would be Evra. Luckily, rookie summonable character here. She, 50% to 200% damage modifier, gives herself attack up. She has positive affinity or on 2 of the main people in Hackron and Blackhorn at the moment at the time of recording for this meta. Just a really good damage dealing character that hits multiple times, because you're going to do this. Her passive is going to go. She's going to AoE again. She also can take advantage of the average set. So she'll have the 50% damage boost. Then she'll get the artillery support. So she AoEs again. Put her in Cursed Set so she can actually get bonus turns there and be able to apply. She can apply bleeding. She's going to be able to. She does 80% damage on her basic. She just is able to have bonus attacks plus multiple AoEs and has good modifiers. S tier attack, like a really good and good affinity for the current meta. So really good nuker there. Then Valeria, kind of modifiers, everything on a better kit is on paper is good. It's just her affinity is not ideal for this meta because there's just so many blue characters you're going to be facing. But 180% modifier, great. When she kills someone, she gets a bonus turn. Also, she has another AoE on her A2, and she's reducing the cooldowns on her moves when someone dies. So she's good. And if the meta ever kind of turns around to a lot of green characters, then I think she's going to be really good. Yet right now, Mathasia is the big one that she can really nuke and take out. Then lastly, probably the best, and then if you picked Hydri, she's just not gonna, with the rookie summons you picked Hydri, she's really not gonna be good enough. 100% modifier is just way too low. You're gonna hit like an absolute noodle against these teams. It's just not gonna happen. And Natalia is infinitely better for this. And then unfortunately, the best one is the rarest, which is Euron here. Even though I think it is pretty balanced where, yes, the rare character is better, but you do need him ascended if you want him to be like objectively better, in my opinion, than Evra, because this 15% attack boost is massive in actually how much damage he does. So if you don't have him ascended, then he's going to hit weaker than Evra. But the reason why he's so good is that his passive here grants attacks to an elemental advantage bonus, can be triggered once per round. So he's always going to do 50% extra damage. And if you have him A2, great, because then he's going to be even tankier because it's going to apply on the defensive side as well. But then notice this is the reason why I think it's relatively balanced, because yes, he has like this amazing passive and he's never going to weak hit. He's only going to positive hit. It's even better. It's only 160% modifier. Yes, it's AoE. Yes, it takes advantage of Avraset. But as we looked at the other two characters that have different elements in Valeria and Evra, they have like 200% potential modifier, 180% potential modifier. Yes, they have the, they're not going to be as reliable, but at least it's not like this guy has the best modifier, always positive hits, whatever. It's not like crazy out of line with all the other characters. One thing that is noticeably better, though, is his A2, though, which is removes one negative effect, deals 180% damage to an enemy, and seals one positive effect. So this is just amazing. This A2 just destroys any of their A2s, but it's still really good. And then lastly, has the stun on the A1. So that's going to be your answer here. Is going to be the damage, like the team comp. You have your buffer, you have your CC'er, and you have your damage dealer. And really, it's going to come down to which characters you have, what teams you're facing, and how good your gear is. Because you do really need good gear. And like I would say, for most people, this is really good gear. Average set, 143 speed, 95% crit rate with 276% crit damage, and 4,400 attack. But it could be way better. It could be so much better. Like I've seen people that have like 4,900 attack, 305 crit damage, with 100% crit rate. It could be infinitely better here, especially when you look at these pieces. I'm just trying to give you an idea, because like this has 0 crit damage on it. That, it could be, like another 15, 20% there. It could be another 15, 20% crit damage there. That alone would get me at the 300% crit damage mark. This one could have rolled instead of precision and attack, even though the stats are perfect, like attack, precision, crit damage, crit rate, God roll. But where it rolled could have been, more crit damage, could have been more crit rate, would have been a better piece. This one's actually pretty great. Like, and I just want to show you guys that these can roll where it could not roll 4 stats. And sometimes that's just better. I'd rather it just roll like this, where ideally it would have been, obviously crit rate and crit damage only. And then I'll keep the flat attack, but I don't want a 4th move there unless it was attack percentage. But even still, I think I would have taken the crit damage roll in the last the last bit there to get it to 27% crit damage over attack percentage. Like there's just situations like that. This one could be better. Attack percentage, it rolled defense, flat defense twice. So there's a long way to go on the gear here. I just think the amount of care and effort I have to put on the offensive character's gear in this game is way more than I ever have to do on the defensive character for them to get this massive benefit. And it makes it really hard to beat them. Whereas I have to like perfectly do this. And reason why I'm not 100% crit rate is because I think the best I can do is like 250 crit damage with 100% crit rate. So I would rather just hit like an absolute truck when the time comes. And if I hit the 5%, whatever. It's not the end of the world for me. But ideally, the advice I'm always going to give people, 100% crit rate. I'm just consciously making that choice there. And then the big last character that I think is really good for arena offense, weirdly enough, is actually Mary, especially if you're going to be facing corrupt Orakas, because this passive here where you have the remove a negative effect from all team members at the start of the turn. So that's going to be the big thing that can combat that rebel set in the beginning. But another reason why I like her is this move here. Grants a bonus turn to a team member at the end of the round, as well as damage up and immune for 2 turns. So getting this damage up ability here on my Euron is actually pretty sick. So this team comp applies to any of those damage dealers, but the one I'm going to be showcasing is Euron, just because it's going to be the cleanest one and he's the best one for something like this. But this concept applies regardless, in my opinion. So I could switch this guy out and just move all the gear for Evra, and it's going to work well. I think it's not going to work nearly as well for like Valeria, because she's fire and it's going to be a lot more tougher, but it's still going to be good. Ideally, I'd probably rank them in order of, you got Euron and then Nathalia, Evra, and then Valeria on another tier. But then you're kind of stuck. Like, that's kind of it. And then when it comes to nukers, in my opinion, yes, they're single target. Yes, you can combo them. And then there also is, Gubeg and what's his name? And this guy here, Krayzurzag, great character too. But it's just out of the scope of this video. I just want to kind of keep this clean for this moment here. And then this is just such a dense topic for Arena. So all these other heroes are there, but I don't want this video to be a million years long. So face this guy, tanky team. And then what I like to look at, because it's between Brand and Windrex as my support. So ideally, like if I saw this, if the harder the team, usually the slower they are. So you could probably get away with Brand and get that extra damage, that extra 20% damage. But this person, let's just take in Windrex, and we're going to go first. And then I like to save the defense down for her because I have high focus on her. I have like 80% focus on her, and she's fast as well. So that's another thing. You want her to be fast. So ideally, you have your second fastest be able to beat the first fastest if they get the bonus from Windrex. That's ideal. Then you go here, give the attack boost, the immunity, and the extra turn. Give him the attack boost here, and then you just absolutely one-shot them. You have the defense down, and you have all these boosts here, and then you just can smoke them. And this is what I'm willing to do. I'm willing to set my comp up for this. The rewards in Arena are not good enough for me to put any more investment into this, in my opinion. They need to have some things like Raid where you can actively farm this and get like account-wide stat boosts. Like them having that town hall or whatever it's called in that game, that goes a long way in making this worth it, in my opinion. So we're going to go here. And for the most part, especially for these teams, Windrex is just infinitely better than Brand, in my opinion. Oh, I forgot the defense down. But we're going to do it on Mary, and hopefully she has enough focus to actually apply this. Yep, enough focus to apply it. So here we go. But ideally, you do it on the one that has the best. And then you go here and you nuke them. And so this would all apply. If I had Evra, this would all still apply. Maybe Brand would stay alive, and it would be a little harder to get her out or him out because, the type disadvantage. But for the most part, it might have hit even stronger because there were so many. He was blue and he was blue, or she was blue. So, and then an even hit on the, what's his name? Zatlux. That's pretty much the main thing here. So here's an example of speed versus speed. My speed's faster. It's a whole nother video entirely to be able to combat when you're slower. So definitely stay tuned for that. But there's so many things to talk about when it comes to Arena here. And I just don't know if the rewards meet the demand at the moment. And I just don't, because this is so in-game, because you need so many characters and gear to be able to even do this. Maybe this is something for later down the line when people are kind of at this point yet. So, but I just figured I would, this is what I want to talk about today. So here it is. And I'm going to refresh this. I want to see if there's an actual like full tanky team. Like that's hard to beat. I do have footage of it because I totally recorded this for 40 minutes straight, and my mic wasn't working. So this is take 2, by the way. But here, none of these teams look difficult. That's 2 tanks. I can't even refresh it, even pay for it. But here, let's just we'll just beat this team here. But this is pretty much like the main comp, and I like this comp because it was hard for me to give advice on Arena when I had no solution for Corrupted Oraka with the Rebel set. It's kind of a bummer to be like, oh, this is how you can beat them, but if the RNG doesn't go in your favor, then you just got to reset, which is a total feels bad in my opinion. But at least there is a hero in this game that can reliably and still be good and benefit in other ways too, like benefit your damage dealer. So it's really cool. It's really cementing that Mary is by far the best elite character in the game, in my opinion. And then a cool thing too is that extra turn. So yes, he gets to go, but you can just still be able to finish him off. And then the better the gear I get, then the odds of these people surviving going to be very low. And so then, well, that's pretty much the main part here for Arena. The things, now I just want to talk about what I think they need to do to fix this problem. And I think it's all down to gear. So they need to give us more options. So first of all, I think they need immunity sets. Immunity sets from Raid make it to where for a couple turns, you're just granting immunity. Just like the immunity effect in this game, you would just get that right off the bat. So it would be like a 4-piece set, and then you would just have immunity. So then you give this to Brand, for example, every team member in your team could get stunned, but then I can at least do something about it because he's guaranteed not to get stunned because of the immunity set. Then I can do this and remove the negative effects or something like that. Immunity sets would go a long way. But then the big one, they have the damage sets all wrong. And they need to massively boost single target attackers, because you looked at all the modifiers here of all these AoE characters, but let's look at like known single target damage dealers. So Oraka here, 200% modifier. Natalia has a 200% modifier, but this guy's a single target. Yes, he removes positive effects, but that's not enough to justify, yes, he's doing attack skills with max health. The modifier is not big enough for Arena. Here's another one right here. 250% modifier when booked. Yes, you're getting 20% for every positive effect, but why is my modifier even on the same stratosphere as an AoE with Natalia, for example, and she's getting a 40% damage boost? So I can either AoE with her or I can single target with him. The damage is going to be too close, in my opinion. And let's take a better example would be like Evra. She's getting she's getting the 50% boost on Avarice. So like this is like a true just damage dealer. It should be more, even though yes, she has the passive here with the 30%, but it still should be more in my opinion. Then to top all that off, there's the set bonuses in this game. They have it backwards. So Avarice is giving 100%. This is grants this character 50% bonus damage when attacking over an area. So 100% chance to get a 50% damage bonus over an area. When you compare that to a assassin set, you have the same modifiers. You have the drawback of only attacking one person, not the entire team. Then you have a 50% chance, so coin flip, to do 35. So it's worse chance, and it's not even as much damage. And your single target damage, it makes no sense, in my opinion. Absolutely no sense. It should be, in my opinion, because of just how tanky and how the game scales and stuff. I think it should be definitely 100%. That's no question. But then the percentage, the extra damage you get on a single target, I'd be willing to go up to 100% extra damage, because they haven't changed the modifiers of these characters to compensate for the fact that they are a single target character. And that should be, because a lot of these people, they should have like defense shred. Not enough of these people have defense shred on a single target nuker. They should have another effect like the character can't be, when you kill by this character, they can't be revived, something like that, because that would really make people think twice about doing the whole Mathasia thing. But these single target damage dealers need to have gear that supports them being a single target damage dealer. Also, there could be a defense shred set is another thing from Raid, but a lot of these things, Assassin set, cool set that doesn't exist in Raid at all, but you could just change the Assassin set to actually make sense. Luckily, I was talking with Darth Micro about this, but they also had another set completely wrong, which was, it was the difference between Cursed set, the counterattack set. So Cursed, you're getting a 35%, it used to be a 50% chance to get a bonus attack. So, but that was active. Like I'm actively getting a coin flip and I get to go and do the thing. Whereas they were having, divine set. Okay. So then this right here, characters have a 30% chance to launch a counterattack with their basic attack. So why would I ever use a divine set when I could just use a cursed set? So it was a higher percentage and it's the better effect. It should be, if you're going to launch a counterattack, like the odds of in this game, you can't lap people. So it's not like you're getting lapped up a whole bunch and you have a 30% chance to launch this counterattack. This should have been the 50%, and then the other one should have been the 35%. Well, what they chose to do is just nerf the cursed set. So then they're still on the same page, but at least they both kind of suck. Yeah, on the same level of it. Even though, yes, cursed set is a good set. It's still an RNG set though, and I feel like if they're going to make it based on the percentages, the one that should have the higher percentage is the worser set out of the two. Should be the punishment of waiting for the attack, in my opinion. So they ended up nerfing cursed set instead of, I think they should have buffed one. It should have been like 100%. If one's going to be 50%, the other one should be 100%. It would make sense. Okay, I have to wait for them to attack me, but I get this guaranteed counterattack, for example. Whereas the other one, I get to do any ability. I have a 50% chance bonus to attack after that. That would make more sense to me. I don't like RNG sets though, just in general. So ideally, I would rather have worse effects that are guaranteed so you can really plan for them. I don't like having to plan for these RNG sets, but that's just my example of how they get these sets backwards in this game. And it's just kind of bizarre to me. And if they can fix the set bonus, because I think the characters are fine, it's just they don't give us enough option to really be able to change this meta with the gear choices we have, because we're really not using much of them. And the ones that we do have kind of suck. So like a lot of them kind of suck. So the only good one is Avaset, and that's the only one we use. And then we only have like 4 characters to choose from. So it's tough, especially when you make the affinity bonus so strong in this game. Then we're going to be forced to use multiple characters. So since we're using multiple characters, not all of them are going to be AoE damage dealers. So then that removes all of them off the equation because they don't have a good set to match their abilities, whereas the AoE damage dealers do. So that's just kind of my thought process on why there's a problem in Arena and what we can do to fix it. First of all, we need a way bigger. The carrot to chase needs to be way bigger. We need something to really work towards here and incentivize us to play Arena, in my opinion. It's just, there's just not enough things here to make it worth it. And all those gear choices would make it a lot more fun too. So both of them go hand in hand, because you can make it as fun as you want, but people are just not going to get interested in it because the rewards are just not there, in my opinion. So that's going to do it for my Arena video here. Let me know in the comments below what you guys think. And with that, guys, I'm out. Peace.